It's Jacob Hornbeck, and I will be going over PHP Validation Filters, as well as filter flags, and a little bit on Sanitation Filters. So I made this page to show a little bit on the validation filters. So validation filters are for validating input, not changing it, but it'll make sure that the inputs that you're checking are what you want them to be. So we have ones to check for Boolean, a domain, for email, float and int, IP address, MAC address, and then you can validate it based on a regular expression and a URL. And so each filter has options and then flags that you can do with it. And so the way you use the filters is you do filter var, and then you have the variable or the direct string of whatever you want to filter, and then the name, I guess the ID, which you can either do the all caps long name or ID, or there is an ID that is a number that corresponds with each one. And then you have the array of options, or you can put just one flag instead of there. Or if you need to, you can do an array and have the options. You have an array of the arrays, one for the options, and then you have a separate one that's flags, and then you just put the IDs in there. So so for Boolean, the Boolean one, so it'll return true for one, true, on, and yes. And if you don't have the filter null on failure, then it will return false for everything else. But if you have that on, then it will return true for those, return false for 0, false, off, no, and blank, and then null for everything else. So filter validate Boolean. So first let's say yes, and we check it, and it says yes is equivalent to true. And so right here I have it show how to use it specifically. And so this is just what you entered, and then the ID, and then the options. And if it's blank, then you can actually just take it out. So then if we do false without this on, we see that it says false. And if we do something like test 6 without it and check it, it says it's false. And so if you just want it to be actually Boolean, then you want to include that flag. And so if we do test 6 again, it says false. I guess I coded my if statement wrong. So it's actually null right here, but I have my if statement wrong, so it shows false instead. So I'll put a link to this in the description, so you guys can look at it too. I'm not going to go over all of it. For each one you select, it'll show the options. Like here, for this one, the domain, filter flag, host name, email, Unicode, and then for float you have the decimal, which I'm not sure what it's used for. It doesn't say. And so these ones right here are optional, so you just put in the ones you want. So like for the regular expression, like if we wanted to, if you want to know more about regular expressions, just look it up. W3 Schools has a good page on that, and I can put a link for that as well. So like if we, let's say, put my name in there, so it should be valid because it finds anything before age and anything after it, 0 or more characters, and so it should find it there. It says it matches it. So let's try something else, like pancakes. So it should, yeah, it doesn't match it because it's trying to find an H and it doesn't, it's not in pancakes. So so I'll put a link to all 3 of these. I guess this one too. This page just has a list of all of the validate filters. This one has the Sanitize filters, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then these are all the filter flags. And the filter flags can be used with both the Sanitize filters and validate filters, and it shows over in this column which ones it can be used for. So the validate filters return true or false. It passes the test for each one. The Sanitize, it will the Sanitize filters takes out they take out anything that isn't supposed to be in there. Like these guys have an example for like right here they have the Sanitize email, and so from here it would take out the parentheses and the double slashing. But it says it takes out those curly brackets, the parentheses, and the slashes. And so then after that it checks, and it should say that it's, yeah, so down here it shows what it would be at the end. Just the Sanitize filters just remove what's not supposed to be in there, and the validate filters just check to see if there is anything that isn't supposed to be in there. And then you can use the filter flags for additional options and stuff. And again, I'll put the links to these in the description. And sadly I didn't get this one to work yet, so it's just the validation filters on here. That is it. Thanks for watching.